Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my episode review for Attack on Titan Shingeki no Kyojin Season 2, Episode 4. And boy, did a lot of stuff happen in this episode, so let's get into it. First of all, the biggest thing to note in the beginning of this in the first couple minutes of this episode is that we see a scene where Ymir and Reiner are trying to gather supplies together, and we pretty much see that Ymir can was able to read a can of tuna, yes, a fucking can of tuna or a can of fish, but Reiner himself couldn't, and which. Because apparently the can of tuna was in some kind of other language or something, which makes me believe that Ymir can understand a certain this certain language may have been connected to a kind of race or people that are either within or outside or outside or outside the whole walls. So yeah, it does bring up the possibility of them. It does bring up the possibility of world expansion, of us exploring probably like another world that's outside of these three walls or something. But it'll be interesting to see when and if that does happen. Also, we get a brief look into Reiner's past and how a friend he and Bertolt knew was eaten by a Titan, and was even too scared to face them. Was even too scared in order to face down that Titan. Now, okay, I may as well just say this right now. In the end of the episode, we see that Ymir has transformed into a Titan, and on top of that, we also see that the Titan at the beginning of that they Reiner and Bertolt's friend was also the Titan that Ymir had transformed into. So that makes me wonder exactly how did this work out? How did she obtain these powers? Because the the only thing I can think of right now, and this is kind of pushing forward what I predicted before, is that Reiner and Bertolt's friend was in fact like Eren, and he was a Titan shifter. So I'm not sure how the whole transfer of that would go precisely, but I imagine that. I mean, I think I wonder how that whole transfer would go, because if Reiner Bertoltron was a Titan shifter, then how did his powers get transferred to Ymir for her to transform into that Titan? So yeah, it is an interesting mystery there we got there. We also about Reiner himself, we also get a lot of characterization both through his actions and Bertolt's perspective, because according to Bertolt, Reiner was more or less a coward back then. Like he was even shown that he was too scared to even face down that Titan. So it shows that he's actually become a lot more of a, even though he's scared out of his freaking wits, he's become a lot more. He's become a lot more determined and sure of himself in order facing down Titans. Now, granted, it seems like he's also he does doubt himself at the same time. So yeah, it's interesting characterization. Also, another thing another thing that's interesting is a bit of contrast we see in this episode, because um, in this episode, we basically see that there's a bit of like it was those two bodyguards or something. Those two bodyguards, scout regiments, those two bodyguards from the scout regiment who were protecting the ones that didn't, our main cast. It shows that there was a bit of a contrast there, because it seems that the more that those two fought, the more desperate and more scared they were getting, and even the fact that they lost their will to completely fight, which shows you just how menacing the threat of these titans are. But it's interesting to note that on that other side, our main cast, our main cast, they grew even more determined in order to fight back. So that is that is sort of an interesting. It is sort of interesting in the sense where like it shows how if someone is definitely strong. It's interesting how seeing how different perspectives can actually change a person's view on what they want to do, on how they want to approach a situation. In Ymir, in Krista's case, for instance, she was basically saying, "Look, we're not. Look, we don't have any other choice but, in fact, to fight." Now, and honestly, like even though Ymir basically stopped her from doing something stupid, I can't help but actually I gotta compliment Krista for even being as brave as she was in that whole situation. Like in this, I don't think I could. I think, me personally, I would shit my pants. I would piss my pants out of fear if I was in that freaking situation. But I gotta give them, I gotta give all the others credit for even fighting, keeping on fighting it, no matter how bad the odds looked against them. So yeah, I gotta give them just nothing but praise for that. Also, I want to talk about about this whole Titan invasion as a whole. I'm not gonna lie, the whole size and scope of it, it seems a bit organized, more or less. Like you can obviously tell that this whole thing with the Titans, it was planned, and obviously it was about that Beast Titan. But with that being said, if this whole army and whatnot of Titans was organized, and being led by that Beast Titan, then you gotta wonder. Then the question arises: how does the Beast Titan able to control these Titans? And how is he able to control these Titans, all these such a large group of Titans? And B, where did the Beast Titan learn these tactics? Because these are basically the tactics these are basically, if I was to these are the tactics of like an army general or something that's ordering his troops into battle. So yeah, like it's obvious to me that the Beast Titan has some kind of power. Has different other than it is obvious that he's probably a Titan shifter. But then from there it begs the question, like, what is this guy's whoever the Titan shifter is, what is this guy's background? Why do he have such knowledge of military tactics and army organization and whatnot? It is, if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably like he is also a soldier. But again, going back to my theory about going back to my theory about Ymir and about that whole scene with Ymir and Reiner, I bet if there's going to be world expansion of some other world out there, I imagine he is like a soldier or something that's part of this other. It's part of that is part of this other world, or this other organization out there. So yeah, like this whole episode, honestly, as a whole, it did good in terms of showcasing us to that maybe that there is a little more there's a little more going on outside of these walls than we even think there is. But yeah, definitely for sure. Yeah. Also, I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see what that. I mean, I think I want to assume that the secret Ymir told Krista, the whole promise that Ymir and Krista made to each other on that snowy mountain, as she called, was in fact to do what she wanted for herself. I was in fact to do what she, of course, what was best for her, and not to do things foolishly. I imagine that was the promise. But I'm interested to get more detail into that promise, honestly, and see what exactly the full details of what Ymir and Krista promised each other. But yeah, guys, that's my review of Attack on Titan season 2, episode 4. Again, another great episode. The mystery keeps building, and honestly, I'm interested to see as to how Ymir even got one of these things. For sure, I'm definitely interested in seeing how Ymir got these powers and who that Beast Titan is already. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Night of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.